Revelation chapter 12. There appeared a great wonder in heaven. A woman was clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. The woman, the nation of Israel, by the description, the sun and the moon, and a crown with 12 stars. Back in Genesis chapter 1, you recall the story of Joseph, there in chapter 37, and it tells us that he dreamed another dream, and he told his brothers, and he said, "Behold, I dreamed another dream, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars bowed down to me." And he told his father and his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, "What is this dream that you had? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow down ourselves to the earth to you?" So identifies the woman with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She, being great with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. The child is Jesus. Unto us a son is born, unto us a child is given. The government shall be upon his shoulders. Jesus came forth from Israel. And as we look at the world today and try to understand the animosity that the world seems to have toward the nation of Israel, as you look at the position even of the United States, that which we are taking concerning Israel, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem logical that we would have this attitude toward Israel. Been there many times, met many of the people. I found them very wonderful, gracious people, and hard to understand the antagonism toward Israel, except you recognize that this is spiritual. It is something that we find here in Revelation chapter 12, the attitude of the nations toward Israel. Right now, Israel, of course, is in a very precarious position, and I picked out a couple of articles this evening. The Fatah Party of Palestine leader Mahmoud Abbas will meet later this week to vote on a new platform that, according to the Arab reports, is nearly as hostile toward Israel as that of Hamas. Details of the proposed platform changes were leaked to the Arab press on Saturday. They include a formalized refusal to ever recognize Israel as a Jewish state, a call for Fatah members and supporters to engage in violence against Israeli authorities, and a consideration of strategic dialogue with Iran. Israeli Transportation Minister Yisrael Katz on Sunday, that's today, called the new platform a gross violation of the Palestinian Authority's peace obligation, and it is a declaration of war against Israel. The senior Fatah officials have been increasingly bold of late in admitting that they have never truly given up conflict or negotiated with Israel in good faith. Despite their candor and what it means for the prospects of peace in the region, the Palestinian officials remarked that they have all but ignored by international media and world leaders. These things, here's the fatah, and they're saying they have never negotiated in good faith, and yet the press isn't letting you know these things. And internationally, the world seems to be aligned against Israel. On Thursday of this week, Israel's government released a 160-page report answering the charges by the Palestinians and the UN and the human rights groups that its military incursion into the Gaza Strip in late December and early January was characterized by war crimes and other violations of international law. The report first and foremost served to remind the international community that the Israeli forces only entered Gaza in what was dubbed Operation Cast Lion after weeks of incessant and escalating Hamas rocket fire on southern Israel. During that period, the world did little or nothing to rein in the Hamas and to bring an end to the rocket attacks. When Israeli forces did enter, they were determined not to repeat the mistakes that they made in southern Lebanon that led to a large number of Israeli casualties. Warplanes, artillery, and tanks were used liberally to ensure the safety of the Israeli ground forces, and that use of force resulted in 1,100 Palestinians killed, according to the Palestinian sources. But the report noted that Israel's use of force was by no means disproportionate or unprecedented. When American and other allied forces recently invaded Afghanistan and Iraq, they employed far greater force against civilian areas used as a cover by terrorist forces in order to keep their own casualties low. Indeed, according to the actual international rules of war, as contained in Geneva Conventions, civilian areas are not to be exempt from the use of overwhelming force if they are being used as a cover or basis of operations by the enemy combatants. The report flat out rejected charges that Israeli warplanes and artillery engaged in indiscriminate firing at Palestinian civilian areas, or that they intentionally targeted and killed Palestinian civilians. The government did say that more than a dozen criminal inquiries have been opened against individual soldiers or units for abuses committed during the fighting, but insisted that this is by no means an indictment of the entire IDF or the nation of Israel. So when you look at what was happening with the daily barrage of rockets fired into Israel by the Hamas, if that had happened, say, San Diego, and Mexico was lobbying these daily rocket attacks against San Diego, how long do you think that the United States would have allowed this to go on without retaliating or without moving to stop it? And yet Israel suffered this for months and months. And when they finally did retaliate, then the world blames Israel. They said, well, you retaliated too much or whatever. And they don't take into consideration the fact that Israel was being attacked and abused by this kind of warfare that was being waged against them. And it's always, it seems, Israel's fault in the press and in the international community, and always wanting to blame Israel. Goes deeper than that. Behind this is satanic influence and power. And we will get that as we move further into the 12th chapter, how that the dragon is seeking to make war against the woman Israel because she brought the Messiah into the world. That's the heart of the issue, because God used the nation of Israel to bring the Messiah into the world. That is why Satan is so opposed